Okay, so flipping your lifestyles to a more zero waste lifestyle. Again, zero waste is a daunting topic. This doesn't mean that we all go from like waste to zero waste. It's just the incremental steps that we can take to become zero waste. So a couple of things that we're going to talk about during this small little workshop slash presentation is just the problems that we're currently facing. That could be like the problems in pollution and global warming, climate change, that kind of stuff, but also just like systemic problems, mindfulness problems, slow living. I think that's something that we also have to think about, and we fail to think about that because a lot of the times we're just like constantly hustling in this life and trying to get to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing, and we're not looking at what's happening. The next thing we'll be talking about is what is zero waste or low impact living, solutions, mindful consumption, examples of what we can change in our lifestyles, and examples of how we can be more aware. So a couple of toolkits for that. And then we'll end with the DIY. I'll also invite one of my wonderful colleagues who will do the DIY, who you'll meet in a bit. The first slide, I don't know if all of you know, but at this very moment, we're actually experiencing the biggest global garbage crisis as of now. It's a huge problem in the sense, like, not only does we see all these kind of, social media stuff out there that the pollution is killing marine animals, the pollution is affecting the oceans, affecting our air, affecting landfills that are taking huge areas of our land nowadays. But a lot of people also are just brushing it aside. And we fail to realize that actually this all comes back to affect humans as well, because it might affect the waterways that we grow our food in, and so on. So it actually comes back to what we eat on our plate or the air we breathe. So it is something that we all need to really care about. And it is something that is growing in urgency and is one of the many aspects that contributes to climate change, in addition to things like fossil fuels, coal mining, and all those other aspects as well. So this is just solely focused on the waste aspect of it. So this is a fact. This is a fact that is, again, Indian context, but every day India generates more than 25,940 tons of plastic, which equates to the same weight as 9,000 Asian elephants or 86 Boeing 747 planes. And to add to this, over half of this comes from main metropolitan cities, including one that I'm in right now, Bangalore. And if you really think about that, that's every day, 9,000 Asian elephants weight. So imagine like in a month, in a week, whatever that is, it's going to be insane amounts of waste. And what are we doing with it? Where are we storing it? How are we recycling it? Are we even recycling it? Is a huge concern, is a huge thing that we have to look into. So this is the systemic issue where we need to kind of make the transition. At this stage right now, we're in this kind of linear economy where we're taking, we make it, and we throw it. We consume and then we throw it. So raw materials, in the sense of like fossil fuels, for instance, we take it out of our planet, and then we make products out of it. And then a consumer buys it based on pretty much price points without looking at the entire story behind it. And then when it comes to disposal, we either dispose of it blindly and we are not aware where it goes, or we're thinking it's going somewhere, but we still don't know where it goes. But I think the transition that needs to happen is to a more circular economy, which is, incorporating, kind of like mimicking the biological cycle. So similar to how nature works, the tree, it decomposes, something else is made out of it, and then it keeps going, the cycle keeps going. So that is possible to incorporate in our own lifestyles with all that we use, to be honest. Whether it's your plastic toothbrush and making that switch to a simple bamboo toothbrush and just making sure that that bamboo toothbrush is composted at the end, allows a whole circular system to start, and that's just the toothbrush example. So that's just a small example I'm giving you, but moving to a circular economy lifestyle can also actually make it cheaper for us if we're thinking about price points, because when we really think about it, we're buying long-lasting things rather than short things that's more convenient for us. And we're also thinking more about, the more scale this gains, the circular economy gains, the more cheaper it becomes to produce. We're supporting local economies because there's farmlands all around us rather than constantly shipping and transporting various things. So these are just some facts. Again, like you guys might be aware of a lot of these, but these are facts that we kind of show people because it helps put things into perspective more than anything. So if you think about it, I think someone might be trying to show. Cool. So if you look at this fact here, chemicals in plastic can cause cancer, heart failure, Alzheimer's, dementia, Parkinson's, arthritis, infertility, and even damage unborn babies in the uterus. And a simple solution to that is just carrying your reusable bags. But all we see out there, is like carry your own reusable bag, don't use plastic bags. But I personally wasn't aware that plastic in oceans can cause, or plastic itself can cause these kind of things to humans. Another aspect is 40% of the waste pickers are children under 18 who become ill from living and working in toxic dump yards. So the solution, reuse, recycle, rewear your clothes. In India, for instance, waste pickers are literally like just walking down the streets, and they're not, there's no infrastructure in place for gloves, for instance, even, or proper tools to pick up waste. And if you think about it in today's world where we're like experiencing a pandemic, and people are just like disposing their masks wherever, and then you have waste pickers going through this scavenging and picking up these masks to keep our cities clean. What are we trying to say in terms of the systems that we're putting together? Are we kind of worth more than them, or are they worth more than, there's something that we really need to think about fundamentally as humans, as empathetic as we can be. Some more facts. So 90% of the toys within the market are actually plastic. And remember that plastic never decomposes fully. So there is a solution to this as well. For example, buy wooden toys, right? If you have children, or if you have cousins or nephews, or any kids around you, you can make that sustainable choice. Whether that's just playing in nature, similar to how you guys are in a tent right now, like that's perfect. That's enjoyable. That's something that you don't need much for, and it's minimalistic, and you're just loving it. But if you do have to like buy something, then be mindful of what you're buying, and that could be something like a wooden toy. So this is the same thing. Instead of using plastic ink pens or use pencils, instead of using plastic pens, use ink pens or pencils, because again, that's a more sustainable option. Now, again, it's not the point that you're eliminating all the plastic waste at once. It's about making those incremental steps. So even if you go to an ink pen, a lot of the times you get the question saying, hey, but at some point that body might end up in the landfill. But think about how many years you're going to be using that ink pen for, and you're pretty much going to be refilling that ink pen with ink. Also now there's these really cool things which we have somewhere. It's called Happy Pencils. So they have seeds in the back, and they're newspaper hand rolled. So we partner with like a local community pretty much down the road, and they roll it with paper, newspaper, recycled paper, and they have seeds in the back. So once you're actually done using it, you can just take it out and plant your own plants in your backyard or whatever it is. So it's kind of like a whole circular system, and it's really cool because you're also supporting someone who's like really good at it and really artistic with it. Hold on, let me just show it to you. It's really cool. So it looks like this. As you can see, it's like just newspaper rolled, and they have these seeds in the back. So you just unpulp and you plant this paper, and then it's a plant. And I think that's a really simple example of how we can go into that circular style.
Are you sharing the screen? Can you go on full screen so we can see that?
Oh yeah. Sorry. Okay, pencil. So this is the newspaper rolled pencil. It's not sharpened yet, but this is how it looks. And they have the seeds in the back. So you just pull it out and you plant the seeds. And it's like local plants. So you're not importing any kind of plants. It's like thyme, basil, tomato. These are plants that are in this. So it's really cool. And yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, this is a prime small example of just like what circular lifestyle can be like. And we just have to be mindful that these kind of solutions do exist. You might have to do a little bit more research, but it does exist. Let me go back to sharing a little bit. Cool. So I'm gonna try sharing a video. It's a really fun video. It's called The Story of Stuff. It's I don't know if you guys have watched this video before, but it's really, really impact driven, but also just like super interactive. So if it works, let me know. If it doesn't work, then again, just give me like a thumbs down or something. I can see you. All right.
This is a story about a world obsessed with stuff. It's a story about a system in crisis. We're trashing the planet, we're trashing each other, and we're not even having fun. The good thing is that when we start to understand the system, we start to see lots of places to step in and turn these problems into solutions. Can I tell you, I love my Pantene Pro V. Of the dozen or so personal care products that I use every day, it's the one I can't live without. It says it gives my dull hair the ultimate cool shine. How does it do that? I was wondering that while I was lathering it in my hair one day, so I read the ingredients right here. Sodium lauryl sulfate, tetrasodium EDTA, methyl isothiazolinone. What is this stuff? I took this list to some scientists who know how to read it. Turns out my Pantene contains a chemical linked to cancer, and lots of other products in my bathroom, from sunscreen to lipstick and even baby shampoo, also contain chemicals linked to cancer or other problems like learning disabilities, asthma, and even damaged sperm. Like most parents, I try to keep my family safe, but now I find out my bathroom is a minefield of toxins. What are we supposed to do? To find out the answers, we have to go back to one of the key features of our materials economy: toxics in, toxics out. If at the factory you pour toxic chemicals into a product like baby shampoo, you're going to wind up with toxic baby shampoo and toxics in workers, communities, and babies. So let's take a closer look at this toxic outrage where it seeps into our lives every day, in the bathroom. The average woman in the US uses about 12 personal care products daily. The average man about 6. Each product containing a dozen or more chemicals. Less than 20% of chemicals in cosmetics have been assessed for safety by the industry's safety panel, so we just don't know what they do to us when we use them. Would you fly in an airline that only inspects 20% of its planes? Of course, not all of these chemicals are dangerous, but we know that many are. Some are carcinogens. That means that they can cause cancer. Others are neurotoxins and reproductive toxins, proven to mess up brain development and reproduction in animals. Wait a minute, we're animals too. It's like a giant experiment. We're using all these mystery chemicals and just waiting to see what happens. One thing we do know is that they're getting inside us. I had my body's toxicity levels tested, and I'm loaded with things like mercury, flame retardants, triclosan, and lead. We all are. Even babies are being born pre-polluted. Now, I know we can't live in a lead-free world, but do we have to put lead in our lipstick? I don't know. Maybe it's my fault. Maybe I just bought the wrong thing. At the store, the choices seem endless. I can get lipstick in 49 shades, or shampoo for hair that's too dry, oily, fine, limp, or frizzy. But what about the choices that really matter? Like the choice to buy products that are safe? It turns out the important decisions don't happen when I choose to take a product off the shelf. They happen when companies and governments decide what products should go on the shelves. So who are these companies? This is Procter & Gamble. They're the ones offering me Herbal Essences, the #2 shampoo in the country. It contains toxic petrochemicals made from oil. Since when is oil an herb? On cosmetics labels, words like herbal, natural, even organic have no legal definition. That means that anybody can put anything in a bottle and call it natural, and they do. I mean, can you imagine a top seller called Petro Essences? Gross. What's even nastier are hair relaxers marketed to 5-year-olds and skin whitening creams. These are super toxic, both in their ingredients and in the message they send about what beauty is. Oh, here's Estee Lauder offering me a chance to help find a cure for breast cancer. That's nice. But wait, they're also using chemicals linked to cancer. Don't you think the best way for Estee Lauder to fight cancer is to stop using those chemicals in the first place? So really, I get to choose between meaningless claims on a bottle. But these guys get the real choice about what goes into those bottles. And that happens back here, at the factories where they're formulated. Why do the makers of these products use all these toxics? Are they trying to poison us? No, they're just working from a 1950s mindset when people were totally swept up in better living through chemistry. In all that excitement, they forgot to worry about human health impacts. That was years ago, and they're still using these same old toxic chemicals. Today, big cosmetics companies say the doses of poison in the products are small enough to be harmless. Yeah, maybe if you use them once a year. I guess they never get out and see that their products are being used and combined with other products every day. A little toxic dose under your arms, a little more on your hair, on your lips, and workers in nail and hair salons get dosed all day long. So the industry is used to doing things this way, and they can, because even now that scientists have linked the chemicals they're using to all sorts of problems, there are no laws to get rid of them. You're thinking, really? Come on, nobody's making sure that the stuff we smear all over our bodies is safe? Nope. The FDA doesn't even assess the safety of personal care products or their ingredients. Since 1938, they've banned just 8 out of over 12,000 ingredients used in cosmetics. They don't even require that all of the ingredients be listed on the label. Now, this is an example where we can all agree a little more government action would be helpful. This lack of regulation leaves a huge hole that the cosmetics industry is all too happy to fill. They set up their own committee to self-police their products, and compliance with their recommendations is voluntary. So the cosmetics industry is making the rules and then deciding whether or not to follow them. So you see, it isn't our fault that these toxic products are in our bathrooms. It's a whole broken system that's ignoring the simple rule: toxics in, toxics out. But we're not helpless. There are resources online that we can use to protect ourselves by identifying the best possible choices in the store. But the real action is with people working to change the system. Because if we really want to solve this problem, we got to start here with these guys. Women, parents, workers, people all over the country are demanding that Congress pass a new law, giving FDA the power to make sure that our personal care products are safe. We need common sense laws based on the precautionary principle. That means that when you're dealing with hazardous chemicals, just err on the side of caution. Let's not debate how much lead should be allowed in lipstick. Just get the toxic chemicals out of our products. Smarter laws would force companies to get past that old 50s mindset and figure out how to get us all clean and shiny without toxic chemicals. Can they? Totally. Many responsible cosmetics companies are already putting safer products on the market. Green chemists are developing substances that are designed to be safe and non-toxic in the first place. European governments have required the removal of many toxic chemicals, and companies have figured out how to comply. When cosmetics are reformulated to be safe and labeled honestly, then we can feel comfortable with the choices available at the store. We can choose bouncy hair or full hair, shiny lipstick or matte. We can even choose to feel beautiful without using 20 products. But we'll know that whatever we choose, the most important choice, the choice to be safe and healthy, has already been made.
Cool. So that was just a quick video. I mean, these videos exist out there, but a lot of times we don't watch it. So that's one of the reasons we kind of show these videos. While this might not be directly related to something like, how to decrease your waste, but when you think about it, we're going to be jumping in this when we talk about this workshop about your personal care routines, and that's the best way and what the best way to start going zero waste in your lifestyle, because that's the stuff you have in control. You don't have to worry about what else is dependent on this. This is stuff in your bathroom, your toothbrushes, your soaps, your shampoos that you can make and transition to a low waste lifestyle. So what is zero waste or low impact living? It's about really being mindful, to be honest. It all comes back to mindfulness. It's about slowing down your life. It's about knowing what really goes into your products, and also what really goes into your products, and also, how is this product packaged? How is it transported? Who makes these products? I think all these constitutes, low impact living. Why should I care? Well, you saw it in the video yourself, and you also we talked about it just earlier. This affects us as humans. This affects our ecosystem. This affects the nature that surrounds us. And I think being ignorant of that fact is really detrimental, and it can really harm us in the long run, and it already is. So just some things to think about. How do I start? A lot of times we get this question, is like, how do I start? We don't know how to start, so I'm just not going to start. But that's not the point, right? The point is just understanding, again, where is it all coming from, and what small changes can I make? For instance, I might just make a switch to this paper rolled pencil to start with. And once you start and you understand the real story behind this product, or this pencil, for instance, or your soap, you'll start realizing, okay, this is a chain, and you keep trying to make alternative swaps and switches. When should I start? I'd say right away. I'm sure you guys are already kind of transitioning to that lifestyle and already aware of many things that are happening out there. But it's a good time. It's a good time for sure, especially with all that's happening right now with us sitting at home, introspecting. Most of us sitting at home introspecting. It's a good time to really kind of reflect and see what's causing such headlines, such news, and also news headlines that might not be reported, something that we might read requires some research. And then will my actions even make a difference? So this is something that people think one person's action might not make a difference, but when you actually put one person's action side by side with a billion people or even 1,000 people, think about how much waste you're decreasing in generating. So if you were to just switch one of your soaps or one of your pencils and multiple people support such brands, support such initiatives, then all of a sudden you're part of a movement that is decreasing waste. And you're also putting pressure on the system, as we talk about it, to make that switch, because they have to listen to consumers at the end of the day to be profitable. So going through some like really easy changes that we can make in our lifestyle. Obviously, we all are aware of bamboo toothbrushes. The package is not noticed during the purchase, transport, and use of the product. In fact, it is not noticed until the minute the product is consumed and the package had fulfilled its function and turns into waste. So a lot of the times we think of just the plastic toothbrush, but do we also think about the packaging it's coming in? Do we think about how it's transported to the shop you bought it from? When you think about these things, you realize that everything of that toothbrush, the conventional toothbrush, might be waste, right? And because it might be including multi-layered plastic, a single plastic toothbrush might have the bristles, of course, but you also have the grip, you have the colors that go in it, you have the designs that go on it, which is also a multi-layered, different material. So when you dispose of it, it's not segregated. So when it goes to a recycling facility, it might not be easy to handle at all. And so at the end of the day, it ends up in our landfills where it takes maybe 700 to 800 years to actually decompose. And when it actually decomposes, it releases methane into the atmosphere, which is a huge pollutant for climate change. So sustainable alternative, it exists nowadays, like it's widespread. There's this whole movement happening for sustainable living. Bamboo toothbrushes, a lot of the toothbrushes out there right now still have plastic bristles, so you can pluck these out. But if you really think about it, you're eliminating 98% of your waste that a typical plastic toothbrush might generate. So why this type of material? Bamboo is actually one of the fastest growing plants out there. So living side by side, hand in hand with nature is the way you go, rather than exploiting nature. Why design it this way? Again, it's a circular style of living. When you do compost the handle of a bamboo toothbrush, you're actually giving, planting something. You're giving back to nature. You're contributing to rich soil. So, which is something that obviously we need. So, ever thought about what your toothpaste is packaged in? Ever turned around to read the ingredients? So, if you turn around a toothpaste and you read the ingredients within a toothpaste, you probably won't be able to recognize any of them because they're all, long words that I can't even pronounce. This is just an example, which we'll also be making at the end of this workshop, is a toothpaste, a DIY toothpaste. And the toothpaste that we have actually has only, 3 ingredients that you can actually make at home. So it has peppermint essential oil, organic coconut oil, and baking soda. And each of these ingredients are actually known to really massage your gums, keep your teeth clean, take the germs out, and then obviously taste good because it's peppermint essential oil. But at the same time, it's all about going back to our roots. When we first started, we were using charcoal powders, herbal tooth powders, and that's also something that we can really explore because for the many years we've just been conditioned to really like minty fresh breath and my toothpaste to look super swirly on my toothbrush. But actually, all that matters is you're hygienic, you're clean, and you're also mindful of what's happening around you. When you also look at the packaging, it's in a glass jar, for instance. So just looking at the whole picture and realizing that it is zero waste, whatever you're buying, and supporting something bigger than that. A soap, which is also huge. So if you look at the back of a soap that you might be using, or shower gels are usually in a plastic bottle that are also multi-layered and could end up in a landfill as well. So easy swap would be a soap bar, because typically the soap bar comes, wrapped in cardboard box or paper. Soaps we have, which I can show you after I stop sharing my screen, are just like compostable paper that you can just, it's made out of recycled paper as well. So we collect paper, upcycle it, and that's how we really try to embed a zero waste circular kind of system. And when you wash your hands with soap, think about the ingredients and the chemicals that are seeping into the waterways as well. So really having transparency into what the soap is made out of, using natural ingredients, and really being aware of what that business or brand is communicating with you is also very important. Obviously, stainless steel straws. Over 1 million seabirds die each year from eating plastic. Most commonly ingested are the plastic straws, which confuses food. So what materials are used? Some straws that we have here, which I'll also show at the end of this, once I stop sharing my screen, is the stainless steel straw. We also have this really cool leafy straw. Maybe I can stop sharing. So we also have this coconut leafy straw. It's hand rolled with coconut leaves that have fallen off. And we actually ran a project in India where we tried to get all the coconut vendors. So, where you have like coconut vendors on the street side to drink coconuts, they all give single-use plastic straws. So instead of that, we tried to get them to transition to this coconut leaf single-use straw. And honestly, there was such a good turnaround, and there was such good feedback from it as well. Obviously, price point in India is a huge thing, and it's a price-sensitive market. So this was something that needs to be worked on in a long-term process. We need help from governments, subsidies. It's a longer process, but we ran this campaign, and it was something that we can build off of now. So that's something I wanted to share with you guys. And the other two I showed without sharing my screen is the bamboo toothbrush, and then a soap, that's wrapped in paper rather than cardboard and chemicals. The ink that is, environmentally friendly. So these are things to really think about when you're making purchases when you go out there. Yeah. So moving on, we also have these beeswax wraps. So when you're done, when you're obviously not wasting food is great, but then if you have some leftovers, you're going to wrap them up with cling film. But cling film is actually the most difficult to recycle because the majority of it does end up in a landfill where it takes hundreds of years to degrade and risks leaching chemicals into groundwater. Cling film is so thin that it's actually not recyclable at all. And typically when we throw it, we crumple it up, and there's no way that is being taken apart and recycled. So that is something that's definitely landing in our landfills. And some easy things that we can do to make those switches is beeswax wraps, as you can see on the left. These are natural. Yes, they're beeswax, so it might not be vegan, but at the same time, this is something that you can make the switch to as an eco-friendly option. There's also soy wax that you can use, or there's also Tupperwares that you can just close and use Tupperwares. I think it's a very good sustainable option. And again, once you're done using it, you can actually cut it into small pieces and throw it into nature, compost it. So again, the circular way of living. Cutlery. So takeaway lunches generate 11 billion items of packaging waste a year. So think about, when we do the takeout, ordering in, typically comes with a plastic bag, or it comes in plastic boxes because it is being packaged in that way, and it is single use. So why not, ask questions and be like, hey, I have my own box, go pick it up yourself. Or better yet, just go enjoy the atmosphere and go sit out there. I know there's this whole pandemic right now, so it's difficult to eat outside, but at the same time, cook at home. And if you order in, then try to support the businesses that are trying to be more mindful. And then menstrual cups. So a plastic industrially manufactured disposable sanitary pad requires about 500 to 800 years to decompose. Thousands and tons of disposable sanitary waste is generated every month all over the world. And this is also a huge problem in India. So this is a menstrual cup that Bare Necessities also provides. And it's also growing in terms of, awareness now in a developing country like India. There's also obviously environmentally friendly pads, but if you look at the traditional ones, they actually have 10 to 12 plastic bags per pad. So when you think about the disposal part of it, that is definitely ending up in our landfills as well, because it is sanitary waste and no one's really taking it apart and recycling it. So just small switches like this can really have a huge impact. Makeup wipes, or even just face cleansers, as we call it here. But if you look at this, honestly, we're supporting let me stop. So we're supporting a small local community with these wipes, rather than buying those plastic packaged cotton that comes in a package. We just do this. It's actually hand crocheted by local artists, again, local in India. They're super cool. They're all different colored all the time. And once you're done using this, you can actually cut it up into small pieces again and compost it. And honestly, these are reusable, so you can wash it as well, and it will last you a lot longer than a cotton would as well. So again, small swaps that you can make to really think about where it's coming from. Yeah, so gifting is a huge part as well when you think about your lifestyle. We tend to wrap our gifts in, plastic wrapping or ribbons, or we have what do you call it? Confetti during our parties. So there's a lot of eco-friendly options for that as well. First of all, you can buy local gifts that support small business and enterprise. You can go plastic-free with your future gifts. That could mean, gifting plants, gifting gifts that are from social enterprises or sustainable enterprises. You can also, gift an experience, which is great. So you can do like a movie ticket or a scuba diving experience or a hike with your friends. I mean, that's what life is all about, spending time with people you love. And I think that's what gifting needs to be, more than the materialistic side of things. And then you can also have like handmade cookies and DIY jars and DIY kits that you can put together. So there's a lot of things that you can think about when you're gifting. If you really think about how you put that gift together as well in terms of plastic tape, that's also something that it cannot be recycled or cannot be composted. Typically ends up being not segregated and thrown out again. So how do you make the switch? You can wrap it using boxes that you already have, maybe from your Amazon deliveries or whatever. You can also use paper tape. You can also use jute or twine to really tie it together. And those are just some examples, but you can get really creative with gifting. And we've actually have an online course that we launched, which talks about all aspects of zero-waste living. This is just going into personal care and lifestyle, but we talk about, home care, how to make your own bioenzymes, multi-purpose cleaners, which are chemically induced. So that's something that we should also think about. So if you look at this graphic, it says why we need sustainable packaging. So this amount of waste is also set to increase. We're becoming increasingly reliant on e-commerce to fulfill our gift obligations. So we're ordering to be delivered somewhere. And e-commerce is just this growing trend right now, which is great because it is innovative. There's a huge impact that we can make through this, through drones maybe, or to really decrease our carbon footprint. But if we're not mindful of what we're buying and how it's coming to our doorsteps, that's a huge impact that we're ignoring and is contributing to something like climate change. So your closet, that's also a great place to start. Fast fashion is this huge concept that's growing right now. But it is also, slow fashion, is a huge concept that's growing right now. Fast fashion is something that has been driving our economy for so long. Fast fashion is something that continues happening lots of seasonal trends over 1 year. So we have 12 months in a year, but there's actually 52 fashion trends that happen in a year. And that's just to drive consumerism, because every time they come up with something new, we go buy it. And then what really happens is they start making it in poor and more poor quality. And when they do that, they last longer. They don't last that long. So what we end up doing is disposing it away, and then we end up buying more. And then that really creates that compulsive buying culture, which is something we can all move away from if we just buy long-lasting, sustainable clothing. We can also look into clothes swaps. Typically, like in India, we have many clothes swaps where you can go and there's like a token system, and you can donate your clothes and then pick up something new that you really like. When we talk about impacts of fast fashion, majority of these brands actually have their plants in developing countries. So that can be like Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, India. And what they do is, the wages that are given to these workers are really not sufficient enough to sustain their lifestyles, but they have to do it because that's the kind of world we're living in right now. So whereas we also have to think about how these people are treated, the materials that are being used, and then the ethics, the real ethics out of this, and again, the empathetic and the genuinity out of all these. How to be part of the solution really is all about research. There's this really cool documentary called True Cost. If you guys are interested, it's really dives into clothing and fast fashion and the impact that it's had, and it's really, really real, but gives you tons of solutions to be part of as well. So all in all, when I talk about this, what is the big picture? And you call this thing a life cycle assessment, So it starts off with how does this product, when you look at one specific product, where do the raw materials come from? After that, how is it produced and what goes into the production process, including the people? Then the manufacturing part of it, how is it manufactured? The distribution, the use, and then the end of life. If we can close this loop here, then this just keeps going and we're not exploiting nature in any way, or we're also not, so right now there's a gap between end of life and resources. If we can make end of life our resources, then we're just making waste a resource, and we're decreasing tons of waste that could be generated. So a couple of ways to be part of the solution: do your research. I know with the power of Google at our hands, we have like so much information right at our fingertips. But a lot of the times we're looking for fast solutions or convenient solutions. But this now is more than ever where we have to start kind of making a transition. So everyone, right now, if we just sit around, think of your favorite brand. Now really think why this is your favorite brand. Is it the price point? Is it the strong fragrance? Is it because it looks perfect on your toothbrush? But then when you go home today, do the following. Look into this one specific product. Look into the sustainability report of the brand. Read the ingredients that are going into this product, and see what you're exposing your own body to and your surroundings to as well. So this is actually an activity that we had in an online course, which I'm showing you here. It's called a waste log. So this is a great way to actually start just seeing how much waste you are generating in your life. So what it starts off is just per day, it starts off by observing. So the first step is observing your waste. The next step is analyzing your waste, and then it's about swapping your waste. Because without observation, you're always going to think like, hey, I'm not generating too much, or I'm generating too much. But you're never going to know where you can make those swaps. So at the end of the day, just at the end of a regular day, what are the top waste producing areas in your life? And then how much waste do you think that you produce per day? Then you go per week, then you go per month, then you go per year. And then based on that, at the end of the day or end of the week, just sit down, empty your trash bin, because it's dry waste. Hopefully you're segregating your waste. And when you segregate it and you look at the dry waste, you might find, in 3 months, you're going through 3 plastic toothbrushes. How can you make that switch? And what's a realistic goal that you can set yourself? Maybe the realistic goal is, hey, starting next week, I'm going to start buying a bamboo toothbrush. And when you write down your goals, it's the best way to actually really stick to your goals and be accountable to your goals. So you can see that this is the waste log. So typically it says, write down the top waste producing areas, how much waste, and then realistic goals. And then once you've done that, it's about analyzing it. So what is the product or service you will be like assessing? So that could be your toothpaste, for instance. And then answering questions like, what type of environmental impact does it have? Now, this doesn't have to be an essay, right? It just has to be the obvious things that come to your mind. For example, the packaging. It's multi-layered toothpaste tube. It's chemically induced formulas in it. So what are the swaps you can make? What systemic issues are there that prevents change? And that's something that we talked about just now, the take, make, throw system versus the circular economy system. What sustainable options are available to replace it? And then how can you start using the sustainable option? So it's just a step-by-step approach to really make this thing not daunting and not overwhelming at all. So why make the switch? We are all becoming aware, to be honest. This is becoming a growing trend and a growing ask amongst all consumers and people about why the environment is degrading, why are storms getting stronger, whatever. All the implications are being questioned and being brought up nowadays. And it is something that a customer wants. So 55% of respondents would pay extra for goods from companies that are committed to environmental responsibility. And I think that's huge. And that also plays a part for companies also to transition to a more sustainable way of producing and a more sustainable way of selling as well. So it's not obviously all on the consumer, it's also on various different stakeholders, but at the same time, it is what you can also control, what you have in control. So now we're just going to do a quick DIY. I actually have my colleague here, her name is Shabu, and she's amazing. She's part of our manufacturing team, and we're going to show you how to make a DIY toothpaste. Let me just stop sharing our screen. Okay. Hey guys, welcome Shabu. This is Shabu. Sit.
Hi, thank you. So this is the baking soda. Okay. This is the coconut oil. And this is the peppermint essential oil. And I have taken this 2 part of baking soda and 1 part of coconut oil. I'm just adding the coconut oil. See, this much I have added. And mix it.
So yeah, the coconut oil is meant to massage your gums. It's meant to, and the coconut oil in general is a really good ingredient, natural ingredient that's good for all parts of your body, to be honest. The baking soda is there to take care of the enamel and brush the grime off its texture of it. And then the essential oil is it's food grade essential oil as well, and it's just there to give the taste. But if you want to go more natural with that, you can put cloves, like ground up cloves in there, ground up neem. These kind of ingredients that can also go in there to make it fully natural. The texture obviously will not be, tasty like your conventional toothpaste, because it is a natural alternative and a sustainable alternative. But at the same time, you just have to put a small teaspoon onto your toothbrush and then brush like you normally would.
Add 10 drops of peppermint essential oil. It's ready.
Should I say teaspoon? Yeah, that's the texture of the toothpaste. So that's, as you can see, that's like very, very simple way of making a DIY toothpaste. It's just two parts baking soda, 1 part coconut oil, and 10 to 15 drops, right? 10 to 15 drops of peppermint essential oil. Or you can substitute this with like cloves, anything minty. People have put orange, chocolate essential oils for their kids. So you can really kind of tailor it to how you want to do it. And yeah, that's pretty much the workshop. Give a hand to Shabu for doing this workshop. Thank you, Shabu.
Thank you.
Is there better? Okay, cool. So with this, we have a couple minutes here. If you have any questions, I know you guys have a microphone there, so you guys can really kind of ask questions. We're here to help answer any. And if we don't know anything and you guys think you want to teach me and Shabu as well, we're happy to learn too.
Hey, can you hear me? Are we muted? Oh. Can you guys hear us?
Yes, we can. I can. We can.
Perfect. I have a question about the toothpaste you just made. How do you store it, and how long does it last?
How long do you store it? So this can be stored for 3 months.
3 months.
3 months, typically 3 months. But coconut oil is very temperature sensitive. So it can be stored for 3 months. If it gets too cold where you are, then you can just run it under warm water for a little bit. If it gets too hot where you are, then you can put it in the fridge for a little bit. Just being natural, you just have to be mindful of it having natural ingredients. But yeah, 3 months, and it will last you actually a really long time, because you just need to take a small dollop on your toothpaste.
Yeah, I'm actually just curious to hear a little bit more about the impact that you're having with bare necessities, and because I've seen that Zaha was even on some kind of Elle magazine or something in India. So I'm curious, like, how are you received in India, and what's the response of people?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it is a huge country, so the impact is, and this change is super slow. But we're a 4-year-old social enterprise now, and just having the opportunity to grow as an enterprise for 4 years shows that this market is growing in India. And we recently launched, as I said, like an online course, a 0 Waste in 30 online course in February, which has now, just in these many months, 600 plus students who are enrolled, and they're all going through the course, they're all doing their activities, they're interacting with us. And I think that just shows the potential in the change that's happening. We do talks and workshops around India. Corporations are now reaching out to us to really kind of green their supply chains, engage their employees, integrate sustainably within their organizations. So it's a growing trend, and with pressures happening as well from the external world, I think that's something that's growing. We are, as you mentioned, like Seher was on the cover of like a magazine. It was called Verve magazine. It's something that we didn't expect. It's completely different, huge, mind-blowing stuff. But it's really humbling, and we are growing. And yeah, I don't know what else to say in terms of impact. We were diverting. I think I can share our impact report with you guys if you like. But we're diverting millions, I think, of waste just by selling, one toothpaste. If you go on our website, barenecessities.in, you can actually see our impact report. We're pretty transparent with our impact report, and you can see the per product impact you can have by just switching to a glass jar toothpaste rather than a plastic tube toothpaste, or the per product impact you can have by switching to a menstrual cup, for instance, rather than the traditional ways or the conventional ways, or straws or anything like that. So the impact reports there, you can really dive into what we're doing. We also, Shabu is like local woman who's like so hardworking, and typically in India, like this might not be something that people are not given these opportunities, but equality and everything's something that businesses are starting to stand up for, and that's what we really believe in. And Shabu has the opportunity to learn about computers and English, and she's honestly so hardworking, and inventory management and operations and manufacturing. She's like things that I don't even know how to do, she does. So it's just very cool opportunity for us.
Yeah, really cool. I think I contact you again because I'm also teaching business ethics classes at a business school, and I think that could also be really useful for them to learn.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, having done my MBA just now, part of my business ethics class is also sustainability and talking about the treatment of people, supply chains, raw materials. That's all comes down to ethics. Because at the end of the day, if your ethics are right, then to be honest, we would live a sustainable lifestyle. But because our ethics have changed a little bit and more towards profitability, it's all going into that sense in a linear economy. So yeah, happy to explore. Reach out to us via email, and we'd love to collaborate.
Lovely, thank you.
Now I'm back. I'm not sure if you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes. Okay. I'm gonna try to make this question a bit shorter, so hopefully we won't have technical issues. So I was wondering, you were comparing with landfill quite a lot, and I know that there's different technologies, so taking care of burnable waste. I know, for an example, in Sweden, we burn our waste and produce heat for our houses. And I'm thinking that makes the equation a bit more difficult. Sometimes I know for a fact that Sweden imports garbage from other countries that's not recycling, because the heat of the temperature goes up because they mix with glass and they mix with a lot of different things, which is more efficient. And Swedes, they recycle better, so it doesn't burn as hot, so to speak. And I'm wondering if you have any knowledge of like different technologies, because I can imagine that also affects the whole the life cycle, or like being smart. Yeah, so that's my question.
Yeah, I mean, there's actually good research happening into sustainable alternatives for plastic packaging as well. So honestly, the solution in the long run should be, in my opinion, just my opinion, but it should be transitioning to zero waste, because there's a lot of complications when it comes to plastic. What kind of grade of plastic, what kind of how many layers of plastic, what kind of coloring is on that plastic, is that's being segregated. All these things need to be taken into consideration. So something that might work for Sweden might not be something that works for India. And India is also getting like tons of waste from other countries. We're importing tons of waste. We just, I think, stopped, or we're still doing it because of monetary pressures. But I think there's tons of technologies, in the sense that there's technologies that compact your plastic now, and then once they're compacted and made into small pellets, you can use these pellets as part of your packaging, or you can use it to make new things. The only problem with that is the plastic degrades after a certain amount of time. So when the plastic degrades, the life of that is not as long as it was when it was new. So as much as like the life is still happening and you're using it for a longer period of time than the first one single use, there's still an end of life where this might still end up ending up in the landfill, because at some point the plastic becomes such low quality that you might not be able to recycle it again. So that's why the whole circular economy aspect of it should come into play. Plastic recycling definitely kind of closes that gap where we reuse and we continue doing the circular economy of things. But at the end of the day, if we can live with nature and on using natural resources, that would be best, because then we don't have to worry about throwing it out and how we're throwing it out or anything like that. We can just compost it and move to that kind of lifestyle. So that's just my 2 cents about it. There are lots of technologies happening. I know I just did a course on sustainable packaging. There's like seaweed packaging that's happening. I'm sure you guys have heard of it as well. So there's, instead of plastic packaging, it's seaweed packaging now. There's also mushroom-based packaging that's coming out. So instead of like the thermocol that you use, they would use mushroom-based packaging, and mushroom is actually widely grown on so many parts of the world. So that's a very good alternative to plastic as well. And yeah, so those are a couple of solutions that are coming up, I'd say. I hope that helps answer your question.
Thanks. Also, Niels let me know that they need to get ready for the next event or the next thing at the tent. But yeah, it was really interesting to hear about all of that. And like I said, like I'm very much looking forward to have you as a speaker at my university classes.
Absolutely. Please feel free to reach out to us. Thank you, everyone, for listening to us, watching us make toothpaste. And if you guys want to like follow our journey, we're on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. You know, you can follow us and support us as a small enterprise as well.
Thank you guys for seeing. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.